Testing, microphone tested. Welcome. Awesome. I'm about to solve a problem. Look at this. I have mist on my glasses, my readers. And that's my one problem that I'm going to solve. But most people, contrary to disbelief in business, we are there to solve many problems, right? That's why you open up a business. But in effectiveness, you're there to solve one problem, right? And most people in business, I see it because I work with clients. I'm a business coach, and I see people step over dollars to pick up pennies or to pick up dimes. I see this all the time. They get into a comfort zone of doing one thing that they do decently well, and they forget about all the other things. So they get attracted to the dimes, dollars, not dollars, pennies and dimes and quarters. And I see my guests step over $100 bills to pick up quarters and nickels. I see it all the time. And that's because they have relatively got into a comfort zone with being comfortable instead of doing the one thing that scares you to move the needle in the direction that you need in your life. I see this consistently and constantly. So I want to ask you, if you're a business owner, maybe you own multiple businesses, what's one problem that you could sell? And this is for your client or your guest, whatever you call them. I like to call my clients guests because they're guests in my house. I welcome them in my house, and I'm committed and devoted to working with them. And I heard this, and I wrote this down in the Genius Networks with Joe Polish saying this to me: solve a problem for people before you try to sell them something, right? Isn't that amazing? Imagine if we could be solution oriented and we could solve one problem for your guest, for your client, before we sell them something. And that is information that people overlook most of the time, because a lot of people step into the relationship, what's in it for me? But talking about that one problem, and as humans, we're twice as likely to move towards safety than we are towards what we actually really want in life. And in business, I see this consistently and constantly, where people stay in a comfort zone and they move backwards instead of forwards. And then years later, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, they don't see their business grow. They don't see their business accelerate. You know, they're still looking through these foggy glasses, right? Instead of saying, hey, wait, I got to clean these glasses so I can see just a titch more clear. A titch is an Irish word. And just to see a little bit more clear on what it is. And most of us move away from the thing that we need to solve in our business, as well as solve problems for people. You know, our processes aren't good. Our systems aren't good. And we wonder why people are not doing business with us, because we don't possibly have the system to solve their one problem or solution. And a lot of people are doing business by looking through these misted glasses, right? These are actually clean now. But most people do that, and they wonder why they're still in sameness. And you know, sometimes I'll talk about my weekly themes and what's going on with my guests and my clients. And, you know, this happened with two of my guests, and he finally saw it. He finally saw, oh my goodness, you're right. This one thing that I keep trying to move over is the one thing that could move the needle in my business. Isn't that interesting? So what we decided to do is make a game plan around that. And again, it was a skill that he was lacking. It was a skill that he knew he needed to get good by, because again, he was stepping over $100 bills to pick up nickels. And he said, I'm comfortable picking up the nickels, basically is what he was saying, but I am missing the $100 or even $1,000 bills because I'm not good in this one problem that I could solve in my business that would actually open the gate to going out and getting in front of that client and presenting his high ticket item that could actually solve more than one problem. If this one problem is solved for this client, a multitude of other problems could be solved for this client. And most of us overlook mastery. And, right now I'm speaking about, I was just on a call with Chief Business Strategist, Donald Stojak. And we were going over one thing that was, I don't want to say it was lacking, just believed it needed a different direction, right? Because in business, when I'm building my business and my business is accelerantly, I'm trying to make a word up here, but it grows, it's growing. But again, I'm always looking at it from different angles. I'm trying to see, okay, I'm good at this, right? I'm good at solving this person's problem. We found them some money that they could make in their business. We pointed out some solutions. Now, as consulting with this person that I'm consulting with, I wanted to change up my one-on-one process of enrolling guests into my program, because I work with a few different guides in my business. So this is something that I kind of overlooked for a while. I kept perfecting the one thing that I was really good at, and I read through it. It's good, but it's a little vague. It doesn't really pinpoint. And what I was moving towards in my business was moving the free line, right? And one of, Donald Stojak works with Eben Pagan, and he speaks about this constantly, moving the free line for your clients, right? Or your guests. You're going to hear me call my clients guests because they're guests in my house, right? And we work together to really make that an intimate process. But the thing is I needed to get mastery of this skill. I was good at this skill, right? I could move people in my program. I would say 3 people out of 20 people, that I got in front of, would accept what I'm doing. And then I would overcommit, overdeliver, and really focus in on the angel and the details of what is it for them? What's the one problem I could solve that would help them move the needle, right? That's why I asked that question. But for me, I needed to learn a specific skill. So I had to consult with this expert that has had over 20,000 enrollment calls and led teams of people that could solve problems. I mean, that's what businesses do. If you're in a business, you solve people's problems. If you're good, right? And there's a lot of businesses out there that are not good, and they don't really solve the people's problems. They end up putting a Band-Aid on the solution, and people are good for a little while, and then they're like, shit, that's still bleeding, it's still scarring, it's getting infected. But when you're really good at something, when you want to move from being an expert to an authority in something, mastery is a skill that you must implement and apply in your business, in whatever facet it is. Maybe it's team building. Maybe it's training people. Maybe it's sales. Maybe it's getting in front of one-on-one, building your business one client at a time. Could be marketing. Could be, whatever it is for you. But the one thing is, what's the one problem that you could solve in your clients' eyes, in their life, that would make them better? And what's one thing that you could solve in your business that would bridge that gap and make communication directive and clear for you, right? Kind of stumbled along into this, but that's pretty much what we're doing, is we're bridging the gap to make it easy for our guests, our clients to work with us. And also, we're taking away the friction from whatever process that we need to eliminate, eradicate, or smooth out, so we could smooth that transition, make it elegant, so people really understand what we're trying to offer, right? What our solution is. Because as entrepreneurs, as I call myself a business builder, I'm building a business right now, but I've worked for other businesses where I was an intrapreneur, where I was responsible for a multitude of people and kind of getting them business and assimilated and associated. But the thing is what is the one problem that you know you could solve. And for me today, it was smoothing out a process that I knew that needed to be improved. And even today, I was enlightened by being live in education as I spend 2 to 4 hours. I'm going to say 6 days a week. Sometimes I don't do it on the seventh day, but I spend 2 to 4 hours every day learning, mastering a skill to get better at, to improve at, whatever it is for me, and getting better at automating, delegating, and outsourcing with the resources I have that I can allocate to the thing that I need to create that must be done. That's not in my 5%. I don't know how to do a percent here, but you guys get that. And what's the one thing that you can improve on? Because most of us don't move forward in our business because we're up against a brick wall. We're up against something that's lacking inside of us. It's an emotional block that's keeping us from getting better. We want to be instantly better at a skill. I want to be plugged into the Matrix, like I think Neo in the Matrix plugged in and then got better at martial arts, became a 10th degree black belt instantly. That's what we want. And that little movie clip, gives us that. But we don't want to do the hard work to become a master of what that skill is. And mastery is, excuse me, mastery is dirty. Mastery can be filthy. Mastery can be gritty. Mastery can be like sleeping in your office, right? Or your car until the next day, because you got to wake up really early to learn that skill before you have that interaction with a client. Right now in the virtual world, a lot of our services are one-on-one. A lot of people don't really want to come in and say, hey, I'm interested, in doing this. A lot of us have to reach out in the community. And, this, I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but this, as a business owner, if you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, cash flow quadrant, there's self-employed and there's business owner. And as also within self-employed and business owner, you have to go out and get in front of people or speak to people and make sure they're the right people for your business, for your solution, right? It's like if you, I'm thinking about this guy that I just saw out in the parking lot who owns a roofing construction company. If you have a brand new house, you're not really going to want, and the roof is brand new, you're not going to want roofing construction. You might say, oh, thank you for that information. And if you serve that client enough where you gave them enough information for future, and really went over and gave them a wow, that was cool. Yeah, I don't need a roof right now. My roof is good. We just had this house built, but in the future, if something does come up, I'll think to call you. And maybe that's something you could do and follow up with them later to see if that would be something that they could do. But what I'm saying is solve a problem. One problem. Solve a problem for people before you try to sell them something. And I learned that from being a part of I Love Marketing and listening to Joe Polish and Dean Jackson speak on that. And here's a saying for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people don't really want to move forward. But if you watch this in its entirety, awesome. Thank you. It's the pink shirt. I know it's the pink shirt. And now you can see through the clear glasses of why you'd want to be a part of this. But knowing like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. If you know you're lacking in some kind of business acumen or some kind of skill that can get you better, and you're like, oh, I don't know. But there's that cue trigger and behavior behind that. And that cue, that's when you bump up against it, you move back. I want you to look at that as a sign that that's the brick wall that's keeping you from your greatness. That's the thing that's keeping you from moving forward in your life, business, in your business life, because both of those are the same. They both feed each other, right? When you truly serve somebody, when you truly offer a solution to really helping them and doing the work behind it and making sure you have a system in place that can build them there, and you're tweaking it, and you're course correcting it, and you're constantly adjusting it consistently and constantly towards their success, that's when you're on the path of mastery. But a lot of us want to be perfectionists before we become rightists. And I learned this a few years ago. I was, where was I? Where the heck was I? I was in Arizona. I was at an event, one of the best events I ever went to, and it's a shame that this gentleman passed away. And I was really enamored. Would that be the word? Enamored? Enamored? I don't know. But I was enthralled by this event, and I connected with a ton of people. Like I felt like I was in a hugging reunion. But basically, what happened is, I had to audit some because I was trying to get good at like 50 skills at one time, which is nearly impossible. And I had to audit my skills into 1 to 3 that I knew I needed, and one more than the other that would move the skills and everything else. And I needed to hear that. And sometimes you need to hear that. And we need to hear that the thing that you're bumping up against that you're unsure of, and you think you need another course on, or I need another business course, go deep into one thing that will serve you, and go deep into that subject matter, and really make it matter for you. Really, and drill down into, like today when I was on that call, right? I think there were a couple thousand people that this call was presented to. Maybe not that many, maybe 500, but only 19 people took action. Only 19 people really wanted to move forward in this. The other 400, and I can't do math, 81, maybe 481 people didn't move forward, just wanted to go to the next shiny object syndrome and get that dopamine hit. And once they got that dopamine hit, they needed another one because they didn't feel like they had enough of that information to move themselves forward. But again, if the one thing, right, in your business is lacking, and I'm going to guess that it's your sales. And if you're a brick and mortar going online and you haven't gone online yet, fully immerse yourself, and you build a business. And I watched my dad do this, but my dad was a little bit savvy. I don't think he knew he was savvy, but he was a little bit street savvy, right? Growing up in the city and Long Island. But, you can't just open up a business, say, hey, doors are open, hanging out, whistling Dixie, wishing business would just come, because a lot of people do this. And I see these doors open and close. In Brooklyn, living in Greenpoint for years, I saw businesses that would open 4 months later, bam, out of business, because they didn't master connecting with people. They didn't master, going out into the market and getting people interested. Also being interested in other people before you become interesting, right? And I'm going to try to go 20 minutes on this, but I really want you guys to, I put in the dialogue here, I forgot the comments. What's one problem that you can solve in your business, in your life business right now? What is that one problem? What is it? Really get educated around that one problem that's lacking. Because maybe it's sales is an easy thing. Just say, oh, sales, am I transferring some energy? But what is it? Maybe I'm an introvert. Maybe I'm an extrovert. Maybe, I don't know my offer. Maybe I don't know my product that well. Maybe I don't know, what is I'm trying to think deep here, but most people don't know what their offer is. They don't know what their product does because they haven't elicited enough feedback. But what do you believe the one solution to be, right? What do you believe that one solution to be? And go to work on that. Maybe mind map that. Maybe you could take and put sales and then say, you know what? I don't know how to connect with people. Okay, connect with one person. What's one person? Just tell them a little bit about your business. Hey, I just want to let you know I'm new. My dad used to do this. I watched him do this when I was young. I was like a little squirt bouncing a ball or kicking a ball or something. But I watched my dad go around, and when he put his business in, he walked around to all the people in the plaza. I believe it was a pretty big plaza. We migrated around, but he would go to each of the businesses and introduce himself and And literally, like, he went to every store and introduced himself and said he's new in the neighborhood and he just opened up an auto parts store and he just want to let you know if there's anything you need, he'd be willing to bring it over to you and just show you what it is, whatever it is. I saw my dad just do things, weird things, where he'd bring things and show them how to use it. And I'm a kid, I'm still taking this in. I didn't even know what was going on half the time. But how can you get out of your own way, right? What's one problem that you could solve in your business? What is that problem? Post it below. And then next to it, put what do you believe the solution to be? And then what is the next thing that you could do to start moving forward incrementally, get that problem? In the beginning, my glasses were foggy. Now they're clear. That was the one problem that I needed to solve. So guys, have an amazing day. Take care of yourselves. Much love and much growth in your business.